Welcome. I just want to give everybody a quick overview of how to use some of the Web Content Extractor project files that I already shared. So let's take a quick look here. We're going to open up Web Content Extractor. And the first script that I want you guys to use is called the Get Roster Overview. So we're just covering how to get data from soccerway.com right now. Some of the other websites work, others don't. I don't have scripts prepared for all of them right now. If there's one in particular you're interested in, let me know and maybe I can help out. But we'll start with Soccerway for right now. So everything's already put together for you. The only thing that you need to do is to click on this little icon here, the project properties, and then put the URL for each team that you want to get data from in here. So let's do the Egyptian League. This is one of the few things you have to do by hand, unfortunately. Go to soccerway.com, go to the Egyptian Premier League. I don't actually remember what it's called, but it'll find it out for me. Or it won't. We'll go to Club Domestic, Egypt. Egyptian Premier League, okay. Then we specifically wanted to get us the squad information. So go to each team in the table. I actually use this little drop down so I can do it all in order. And click on the squads page. And you will have to do this for every team, unfortunately, and you will have to do it by hand. And I just used the most up-to-date information we have. So unfortunately, they've only got 2012, 2013 here. So be it. That's just what we'll have to use. So we start copying and pasting that over. And it's a little arduous and it's a little frustrating, but again, it's one of the few things that we actually have to do by hand. So I will go ahead and do that with you here. And I'll tell you a little bit about what Web Content Extractor is going to do with this information while I'm doing the tedious work here. So what it's going to do is, we're running two Web Content Extractor scripts. The first one gets this data for every team. It just gets the overall data, just gets the overview information. Because some of it's not contained, or at least not contained in a very pretty way, on the individual players' pages. This tells you how many minutes they played in a given season, and how many goals they scored in that season, the most recent season they have data for, that kind of thing. And that can be really important for figuring out who are the best players, who seems to have a crucial role on the team, who's just kind of riding the bench all the time, that kind of stuff. What it will do from there, though, the second script will run, not this one, but the second script we will run, will click on each of these player URLs and get specific data about each player for us. So that's the general process. And unfortunately, my explanation took less time than getting all of these copied over like this. But I can stall. Should only take another moment or so. There is a bit of a limit to how much you can do in any particular web content extraction project. If you get them too large, it can start to pull data incorrectly. It can get a little overwhelmed. It can tax out the system, and I believe it just runs out of memory. So I tend to try to keep it to less than, depending on your system, less than like 500, 600, or 1,000 URLs. I've certainly done some of the leagues recently have been larger than 500, 600 players. So of course you have one URL per player. And it can handle that on my little laptop that's 3 years old. But some systems might not be able to. You can always break it up and just join the data back together later. That's not terribly difficult to do, but it is something to keep in mind. And if it starts behaving really oddly, You might try doing it on a different computer. You might try shortening your project or extracting less data from each player. I certainly am pulling some data that for right now I'm not actually using, but maybe I hope to in the future. So more data is better than less, as long as your computer can handle it. Okay. And we're on the last team here. And one little sanity check, we should just count the number of URLs we have here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 URLs. We should check that we have 20 teams in the league. So let's do that very quickly. Tables. Okay, so 20 teams in the league, so we can be reasonably confident that we got all the URLs. Okay, there's nothing else you need to do at this point. You just hit OK there. I usually like to go ahead and save this, save project as, and then make sure that I have it named specifically for the league that I'm working on. So the one that we're doing first is the roster overview. So I'm doing the Egyptian Premier League. I'll leave 2014-2015 here, even though some of that data is a little old. And then the roster overview tag is applied so that I can differentiate it between the roster details. Hit save, and then to run this, you just hit F5. So the first thing it does is it goes to the first squad, pulls all of that overview information, goes to the second squad, pulls all that overview information. You can see it just populating this table down here. It may, and often does, get off by about a column here or there. You'll usually notice that something like minutes will say A, like it just did with that team. And that's really, really quick to go in and fix. So I usually extract to Excel and fix problems like that very quickly. But notice, if we were doing this by hand, this would take us hours, and it's halfway done already. So I will go ahead and stop it here. It will pull all this data, and I'll tell you what to do with it next.